Okay, so as previously discussed, chipping is the absolute number one way to bring your scores down, right? Because you're not going to be able to get on in regulation, but maybe, I don't know, a third to half the time. And what are you going to do with all the rest of those shots that are hanging around the green? So you have to be able to get those balls up on the green really close. There's no perfect science with chipping. There isn't. Okay, there's 100 different methods, and you got to get out there and just practice. There's some fundamentals that are very, very key with chipping. All right. So here we are over our ball, right? And what I want to see you guys in a relatively tight stance, maybe like 4 to 6 inches apart with your feet. So have your feet about 4 to 6 inches apart. Okay. And I want you guys leaning maybe 70-30, 80-20 on that front side. So I want you guys leaning on your front side. A lot of people say, oh, don't allow your lower body to move at all, right? I don't agree with that philosophy at all. There is no sport where you want to stay very static. We want to still be dynamic, okay? Golf is a dynamic sport. We want to still stay dynamic. If you're shooting a jump shot, you're not just standing super still and just pushing the ball. If you're throwing a football, you're throwing a baseball, it's very dynamic movement, right? So when we get over our ball, I want to see, I want to see a little of this movement here, just like this, okay? Just like this. Other thing is, we definitely want to, like I've said before, open that club face. This would be straight up and down, open the club face, okay? You got to open that club face because you have to use the bounce of the club, okay? We've had this discussion a million times. You got to use the bounce. You don't want to attack a ball relatively close to a green like this because, and you don't open it up because you're going to start using this leading edge, and you don't want to hit the ball with the leading edge because your ball will flying off the green and it won't look good. And you'll be embarrassed. Said it a million times, okay? So what we want to do is just try to stay as dynamic as possible, okay? Movement, a little bit of wrist hinge, a little bit of leg motion, okay, right up in here, a little bit of that, right? Because if you don't do that, what I noticed is that you will decelerate. Now, what do I mean by that? You'll bring the club up like this, and then by the time it gets here, it's slowing down, okay? You want to bring the club up and start accelerating through the ball, okay? So acceleration through the ball is extraordinarily important. What I like to do is just get over the ball, okay, like this, okay? Take a couple of practice swings in stepping through, okay? You guys see that? So what I'm doing is I'm here, and I'm just stepping through, okay? And I'm feeling the bounce hit the ground, interact with the ground. I'm feeling that interaction, open it up a little bit, and I'm really feeling that, right? So then when I get over the ball, I do the same type of process. Feel that and let it go, okay? Now what I like to do, depends, this is kind of short here. This is probably only, a 10-yard shot. But what I like to do is when I get here, I like to try to almost feel like I'm putting the club after impact into my lead pocket. Okay. So what I mean by that is I get it up here, let it go, let it fall right into that lead pocket, right? So that means I know I got my body around and I got the club around, and I know I've accelerated through the ball when I do that. Okay. Let's take another one. Get dynamic. We open up our club. Okay. Step through just a little bit. Nice chip. Okay. So make sure that you guys are going through that process. Okay. Still staying very narrow with your chips. That's important. Making sure you're leaning on the front side. Okay. Staying dynamic. Okay. There's only a couple of different levers that we have. One is with the wrists, one's with the body itself, and one is kind of with our feet, stepping in. It's almost like a dance. You're almost out there like Michael Jackson, Fred Astaire, whoever, right? And it's like a dance that you're doing. And you really want to continue in this kind of motion here. and staying on that front side. A lot of people will lean to their front side, and by the time they get here, they move to their backside and they never get back to the front side again. Okay, I want you to stay. That's why I like to use this little step drill. I want you to stay here and never get off that front side. Another good tip would be to just bring this foot back here. Just bring this foot back here and let it, and then keep it there. Okay, and then just chip off one leg, just like that. Okay, you can do that. It looks a little awkward, but I've known a lot of people just to chip like that all the time. Okay, that's how they normally chip. So what I did was I put out a few just cones out here. So those are my landing areas, right? I want to make sure that I'm landing the ball exactly where I want to land it. And we don't have to use, I'm using a sand wedge today, but you don't have to use a sand wedge at all. You can use 8-iron, 9-iron, pitching wedge, you know, whatever you think is more comfortable for you for that particular situation. Sometimes you want to keep the ball nice and low and let it run up. Sometimes you want to get it high and let it just come down and stop. You know, it really depends on your situation. So make sure you are using multiple different clubs around the green as well. Now we're about 20 yards away from the green, and you can do the same thing. It's the same principle as the super, like, you know, short shot right around the green. And as you get farther and farther away, all you're really doing is your takeaway is going to be a little bit longer. Okay, but you still got to make sure you accelerate through. Okay, that's the most important thing. A lot of people think that you shouldn't accelerate with these little short shots, but it's extremely important that you do so. So open your club face up a little bit, step into it, stay dynamic, okay? Just like that, right? And I'm putting the club right into my pocket. Open the club face up, stay dynamic, okay? And just like that. Oh, that was a good one. That was a good one. Well, look, hopefully all these tips will help you guys out. Like I said before, chipping is literally the most important part of the golf game, I think. Okay, it's the quickest way to lower your scores because you're not going to get on in regulation all the time. Matter of fact, you know, pros get on at 68% rate in 2024. You're probably going to get on, if you're a mid-level handicap player, you're probably going to get on a third of the time, you know, half of what they do. So the other 66% of the time, you're going to need to be able to be a really good chipper of the ball. You're going to need to be able to chip the ball at a high level to keep your scores down, okay? It's not about what's happening off the tee. That's important, don't get me wrong. It's not about the putting game, all that, right? It's really about chipping. Now, I got a good friend of mine, Adrian Jones, who's flipped to this. He's flipped it. So he is an unbelievable chipper of the ball, but he can't get on in regulation, right? If that's your issue, well, then you need to work on your longer irons, and we're going to talk about that next week, okay? So make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. My name is Chris Graves. Have a good golf weekend, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.